Hey everyone, I'm Chris Shelley from the Shelley Racing Club, and we're going to be talking about how your car makes grip and how you can use that to drive faster. I'm just going to keep it with the fundamentals, and a lot of these concepts I'll probably revisit in future videos. So we're focusing on how your car makes grip with your tires, all the different forces that are on your car, and then how you can use those forces and understanding physical concepts in order to drive faster and get quicker lap times. Right, so the first concept we're going to talk about is gravity. This is fairly straightforward. It's just how heavy your car is. A smaller junior open wheel car is going to be a lot different from this NASCAR Cup Series stock car. But either way, every car is just going to experience weight. And for our purposes, we're just going to assume you're on Earth and not in space. So it's going to be pulling your car downward into the track. All right, the next force we're talking about is the normal force. Now, this one can get a little more tricky. This is from the surface pushing up on the car. So the surface of the track is going to be generally fixed, except for in cases where you have like a dirt track that might be soft, cushioning in, you can make ruts in it. But on a pavement track, it's always going to be fixed, and it's going to be pushing up against your car. If it's just flat, you will have it just going straight up. But if it's like here, like a track like Dover, where you have some banking, it's going to be at an angle, right? So that it's always going to be perpendicular from the surface of the track. So it's always going to be pointing out of the surface of the track. And that means it's going to vary a bit as well, because you also have to consider crests and hills. So as for that, we have the car diving into the corner, and you can see there's a little bit of a hump right there. So there's a point in time, and I'm going to slow it down, where your car is going to go and sort of feel less, it's going to be less in contact with the track. So that's when your normal force is lowered, because the track is sort of falling away from the car. It's not pushing up on the car as much. Then you're going to land back into the car corner, and your car is going to compress into the track. And now that your car has fallen into the track, and the track is not going to move, the track is going to provide more force to push your car up out of the surface. You can see an extreme example of that in this next clip. All right, so like I discussed, the track surface is going to push up against you, right? It's going to be pushed out of the track, and that's the normal force. Well, you have no normal force on your car or truck, I guess in this case, if you're airborne, right? The track is not pushing up into you if you're not in contact with it. So another way of thinking of it is a contact force. It's the force that the track provides when you're into it, and you're pushing into it, because the track is not going to move. The track is pushing against you, against the weight of your car. So when you're airborne, you're not experiencing any, but then when you compress down into the track, you're experiencing more force than just the initial weight. So here I'm going to show a diagram. It's just not really a diagram, it's more just a comparison of a few images to show you what that is like. So as you can see, you can sort of get a guess for how much this Pro 4 truck is pushing into the track based on that suspension height. So when the tire is really tucked up under that fender, it's really pressed in. That's right before it's about to jump. When it's out, it's way out of the fender, it's sort of hanging down a little bit. That means that's, while it's midair, there's no force on it. And then you can also see the car, just when it stopped in the middle right there, it's just kind of chilling there. It's not really pressed in, but it's also not fully decompressed as if it were, flying through the air. So that's the normal force. So as I said, that's the normal force. You have several things going on. It's going to be changing with the banking of the track. You can see like a high track, like banked track like this, Bristol. You're going to have some hills that's going to help you, some hills that are going to hurt you. Some as you're going into this corner right here, it sort of slows you down, right? You're going up a hill, while you're coming off the corner. It helps you get more speed as you're coming down. Remember, it's going to be always perpendicular to the surface of the track. It's always going to be pointing out of the track. Now, with that normal force, we have, ta-da, friction, and we have frictional force. This is what makes your tires actually help you turn, help you accelerate, help you brake. All of this is coming from your tires through friction. If you have no friction, your tires aren't going to do anything. So putting up on the screen the equation, essentially your frictional force is going to be proportional to the normal force. And it's going to be your normal force times the coefficient of friction, which essentially measures how sticky the interaction is between the tires and the road. This is also just a general friction formula for just in physics. Now there are some more complexities to this if you really wanted to get into the weeds, but all you need to know is that you want your tires to be sticky, you want a high coefficient of friction, and you want your normal force to be pretty high. You want the car to be really stuck into the track. You don't want it to be out of the track. You don't want it to be jumping. You don't want your car to be out of the track. You want it in the track to get all that frictional grip so you can hit the gas harder, so you can hit the brakes harder, so you can turn a lot harder. So what happens when you're on a different surface, right? Because the friction coefficient can vary. Let's see another example. So this is what happens when you have a low friction coefficient, right? Not every friction coefficient is going to be the same. Your friction, it's going to depend on one, your tires, and two, the racing surface. It can change because it's dirt. It could be changed because it's pavement, but there's a certain amount of rubber on the road. It could be changed because of the pavement. Its temperature. It could be changed because of the tire temperature. It could be changed because of the tire wear, right? Friction coefficient itself is going to vary. And I'll get into all those. I'll probably make a new video sometime later down the line that discusses all the cases where your tire friction coefficient can change, right? So it's not just how hard the car tire is pushing into the track, it's also how well it's sticking with the track surface. So the last of the forces you need to consider are aerodynamic forces. So these are scaling with speed, right? So it's going to be the square of your velocity is gonna determine how much downforce or side force you're gonna get. Um, so if you double your speed, you're gonna have 4 times the aerodynamic forces on your car. Now, downforce is going to push your car, like it sounds like, down into the track. That's going to give you more normal force from the surface of the track, which will therefore give you more friction. This is something you see in most of the higher level cars, like the NASCAR. All the NASCAR cars have this to some extent. A lot of open wheel cars do, a lot of sports cars do. I think the only place you won't really see any downforce might be at like the off-road trucks, but even like rallycross cars will have them. Now for side force, you're really only going to see these in a select amount of cars. They're most notable, I would say, in the dirt sprint cars and the NASCAR truck and the NASCAR Xfinity Series car. So this is when you're getting sideways, and because of all the area of the car that the air is pushing on the side of the car, it actually helps you turn while your car is yawed out and sideways. So this isn't going through the tires, it's directly the air sort of pushing it. It's like imagine wind hitting your car and helping you turn or sending it one way or another. That's essentially what side force is. So with all those forces, what are your major takeaways from this video? And how can you use these to go faster? So to review your takeaways from this video, you have the 4 forces: gravity, normal force, frictional forces, and aerodynamic forces. Your car primarily makes grip using friction, and friction is going to scale proportionally with normal force. And your normal force is going to be determined by the aerodynamic forces, by the surface, the track, and by the gravity and the weight of the car itself. When a car compresses into the track, there is more grip, which means you can get more aggressive with your inputs, whether that's braking, accelerating, or turning. You also have to consider that the normal force of a banked track actually helps you turn. But you also lose grip when your car is feeling out of the track. So if there's a crest or you're going over a jump, you're not getting any normal force, so you're not getting any friction, which means you have less grip. So use this and keep this in mind when you're going over a racetrack, trying to be more aggressive when your car is really tucked into the track, and be less aggressive with your inputs when your car is out of the track. Do not expect to be able to do anything when it's in the air. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Yeah, most of the setup principles and just understanding how a car performs on how you can improve a car's performance, handling wise, comes with trying to maximize those normal forces. Later on, I'll get into sort of advanced things when you have to consider bumps, how you have suspension setup like shocks and springs and aerodynamic variations and things like that. But this is all you need to know. Just go out there and start improving your lap times. When a car compresses, you can go hard. You can go, turn, brake, accelerate, do whatever more aggressively. If a car is out of the track, be less aggressive. Keep in mind that your car needs to be in contact with the track to make grip. All your grip is primarily coming from the tires. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Shelley. Please like and subscribe for more. Please check out more content on the Shelley Racing Club. I'll see you later.